Daniel Vorcaro tried to sweet talk us from the federal police, from the attorney general's office, with that so-called plea bargain he presented. As a result, the federal police and the attorney general's office agreed, and Andre Mendonça sent him to a regular prison. As soon as he said he was going to cut a plea deal, the agreement stated that he would go to a better place. And he stayed exactly in Bolsonaro's master suite. With television, air conditioning, private bathroom, a master suite, it was all there. And now he was caught and sent to a regular prison, where the bed is made of masonry. Right, Andre? Yes, the bed is made of brick and cement. And if no one brings a mattress, you sleep right on the hard surface, on the cement. And it's not a suite with a bathroom anymore. Now, what you have is what's called a boy. What the heck is this boy thing, Andre? Boy is what inmates call their toilet, where there's only a little wall this high. And the toilet there, it's the kind you don't sit on. You squat. And they call it boy. And he went to a cell like that. With millions and millions used to a cushy life, yogurt privileges and everything. And now Jose. That's right. He tried to sweet talk his way out with a fake plea deal, but it backfired. Because here's the thing. The federal police doesn't want his plea deal anymore, no. Right, Andre? They said he tried to deceive them and that the federal police already has almost everything they need. Almost everything. The last time I checked, 9 cell phones belonging to Daniel Vorcaro were seized. And he put everything on the cell phones. Yeah. So the federal police isn't even interested in his plea bargain anymore. So like then you say, Andre, does that mean any chance of a plea bargain is over? No, it's not over. But now for any kind of deal like that to be accepted, he will really have to actually name the real higher ups. Notably, congressmen, senators, governors, and former president of the republic who are involved in this Bolsa master mafia scheme. He will have to turn them in and lay out the iter criminis, the course of the crime. Because if the federal police don't have proof of what he says, the federal police will have to go back and look for this evidence to confirm the plea bargain. Otherwise, the plea bargain is worthless. So if he doesn't present something really substantial, it's over for Daniel Vorcaro. He won't even be able to make a plea bargain anymore to try to reduce his sentence. That's it. The federal police transfers Vorcaro to a regular cell and restricts lawyer visits. There at the federal police headquarters, the lawyers could go in every day, every single day. Not in this one. In this one, visits will have to be scheduled. It won't be every day or whenever they want. Look here. The changes in Vorcaro's routine were decided by the federal police. After Minister Andre Mendonça, the rapporteur of the master case at the federal Supreme Court, authorized the banker to be subjected to the ordinary operating rules of the Federal Police Superintendency in Brasilia. So he tried to sweet talk his way out with smooth talk, but Daniel Vorcaro got himself in trouble. And I'll tell you something, for those who are used to billion-dollar mansions, there was already one, I don't know what, hotels costing $130,000 per day. And with a squat toilet. My dear and my darling, it's no joke, really. And I reiterate, if this happened, then for Andre Mendonça to authorize it, the federal police must have contradicted Daniel Vorcaro's cooperation testimony. If not, Brazil women. If not, Andre Mendonça wouldn't have done that. If that happened, it was because the federal police received the cooperation testimony Daniel Vorcaro submitted and disproved its points with the evidence the federal police already had on hand. That's why this happened, I believe. It was this kind of setback, like a shift to a harsher prison regime. What's the rule? Moving to a less restrictive prison regime. You go from worse to better. In the case of Grandma Vorcaro, it was the opposite. He got out and was moved to a harsher prison regime. He went from better to worse. After saying that you submitted your cooperation testimony, so why did the federal police contradict your cooperation testimony? All right. Meanwhile, Congressman Lindenberg Farias filed a petition with Minister Alexandre de Moraes. And what he did makes perfect sense, especially since I had already told you here that this could happen. And it's great that Congressman Lindenberg Farias has already filed the petition in this regard. In what regard, Andrea? Congressman Eduardo Bolsonaro is facing charges of coercion in the course of proceedings. The prosecutor general added the charge of coercion in the course of proceedings, which carries up to a 4-year sentence. But the prosecutor general combined it with Article 71 of the Penal Code. The Penal Code, my dear, has the general part, which is the first part. And it has the special part, which is the other part. The other part talks only about criminal offenses, crime, Article 121, killing someone, penalty, blah, 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 blah. Article 157, taking someone else's movable property for yourself or for someone else through violence or serious threat, robbery. And it goes on describing the criminal offenses, the second part of the Penal Code. The first part of the Penal Code, which is the general part, sets out the specifics, how the sentencing will be applied, how the aggravating factor will be applied, how the sentence enhancement will be applied, how and when it is a continued crime. So what did the prosecutor general do? He included the crime of coercion in the course of proceedings combined with Article 71. Article 71 is from the general part, which talks about continued offenses. It's not a continuing crime. A continuing offense is one thing, a continued offense is another. For example, what is a continuing crime? And the prosecutor general said that Eduardo Bolsonaro committed the offense as part of continued criminal conduct. What is a continuing crime? Let me give you an example. Kidnapping. Kidnapping carries a very heavy sentence, and it means it's a continuing crime, that it lasts over time. And because of that, it has a harsher penalty. What does a continued offense mean, Andre? It means that you committed several crimes of the same type. That's what the Attorney General said. So a person can be charged with the same crime 7 times as part of a continued offense, according to Article 71, which the Attorney General applied to Flávio Bolsonaro. That doesn't mean that the maximum 4-year sentences will be multiplied by 7. No, because otherwise it would be too harsh. Nevertheless, I believe that Dudu Bananina would deserve it, but that's not the case. What happens? There's an increase by a third. With the application, with the possibility of still applying an aggravating factor. What does that mean? That he will get more than 8 years in prison and his initial regime will be closed, completely closed, just like Daniel Silveira. Do you remember Daniel Silveira, the federal deputy? He used to shout, fight, and cause trouble, threatened everyone, did whatever he wanted. He was sentenced to almost 9 years in prison. Bolsonaro went there in December 2022, gave him a judicial pardon, and he was released. Then later, Brazil's Supreme Court said, no way, Bananina. He went back to jail. Then Alexandre de Moraes moved him to an open prison regime, and he messed up again. So he went back to jail. He was moved to an open prison regime on December 24th last year. I'll never forget it. How does a man waste an opportunity like that? He messed up again. He came back home after 10 o'clock. Alexandre de Moraes ordered his arrest, said that now he will serve his sentence completely and in full confinement. Then you say, Andre, are you crazy? Why are you talking about Daniel Silveira in this context? Because the Attorney General, in his decision, which was the presentation of the final arguments regarding Eduardo Bolsonaro, Use Daniel Silveira as an example. What am I trying to say to you all with this? That Eduardo Bolsonaro is going to get more than 8 years in prison and he's in trouble. And what did Lindenberg Farias do? He did the following. He said the Supreme Court, no way. Eduardo is not alone in this plan, not in this crime. Flávio Bolsonaro is involved, and Bolsonaro is also involved in this crime. Well, but why did he say Flávio didn't travel? He's not living in the United States to keep attacking Brazil, Andre. No, that's right. But with this revelation about Daniel Vorcaro, it's already been established. And of course, Flávio Bolsonaro was demanding money from Daniel Vorcaro, saying that the money was going to the movie. But we know he himself has already said, Flávio has already said that the money went to a company which is basically a bank account which lists as its account holder in the United States, Paulo Carlisto. Thank you for watching. Who is a lawyer. An immigration lawyer, it has nothing to do with the movie. Immigration for whom? For Eduardo Bolsonaro, who is in the United States. Instead of the money going directly to Entree, which was the company responsible for that, from the production company Go Gold. Responsible for making the movie? No. The money from Daniel Vorcaro, more than 61 million reais, which Flávio was demanding. Even more, which could and should have reached 134 million, did not go to the film's production company. It went to a fund managed by Eduardo Bolsonaro's lawyer. If Flávio took money and if it's proven was part or all of that money used to fund it, Eduardo Bolsonaro, to commit the crime of coercion in the course of proceedings before the Supreme Court, Flávio is also a co-author of these crimes, together with Eduardo Bolsonaro. And Lindenberg also added the father Bolsonaro, because he believes it was Bolsonaro who sent Eduardo to the United States. And actually, the 2 million that they say Bolsonaro sent to Eduardo Bolsonaro, it's not from Bolsonaro, but from Daniel Vorcaro. That's the situation. If that turns out to be true, pay attention to this. If it's proven that Eduardo Bolsonaro used the money that was meant for the film that Flávio demanded and that Vorcaro paid, Flávio can also be charged with and held responsible for the crime of coercion in the course of legal proceedings along with Eduardo Bolsonaro. And this situation is in Minister Alexandre de Moraes' office. Well, it's true that the case against Eduardo Bolsonaro is already quite advanced. It's already in the final argument stage. After the final arguments, there could be a request for further investigation, but I believe there won't be, especially because Eduardo Bolsonaro didn't appoint a lawyer, and it's the public defender's office that's sometimes handling his defense. In this way, after the closing arguments, which the Attorney General has already presented and has already requested the conviction, I reiterate, of Eduardo Bolsonaro for coercion during the course of the proceedings in continuing offense. As I explained to you, now the Federal Public Defender's Office must also present its defense in the closing arguments. After that, it will go to the final judgment in a joint session by the first panel of the Federal Supreme Court. It's much further along regarding Eduardo Bolsonaro, but nothing prevents that this regarding Flávio is also taken into consideration. What do I believe Alexandre de Moraes is going to do? He will take this, send it to the Attorney General's office for them to comment, and he, on his own initiative, can already send it to the federal police and request information about what the federal police already has, which is under seal. And if there is any proof that Eduardo Bolsonaro took some of the money from the movie, As I told you, the federal police already knows much more than we do because they are already investigating all of this. Yeah, but everything is under secrecy, especially because the police investigation itself is confidential. So let's wait because Flavio might get involved in this situation too. This here is the minor crime. This here is the minor crime. Because the suspicion about all of this is that they used the movie he worked on Jack and Stop! Money laundering from the Vorcaro Mafia for paying bribes. That's the suspicion. Okay, and I'll give you more details in the 8:30 live stream like I told you. I'm waiting for confirmation on a situation so I can give you more details about this. What bribe? About what, Andrea Gonçalves? That's what we want to know. Did you understand, my dear? So the situation is no joke. And Congressman Lindenberg passed it on to Alexandra de Moraes that there may be involvement there in a criminal organization. The involvement of Flávio Bolsonaro, along with Eduardo Bolsonaro and Bolsonaro himself, in the crime of coercion during legal proceedings, where Flávio was demanding, Eduardo received it, and there he used this money to do all the lobbying he did for tariffs. Magnitsky Act, cancellation, suspension of officials' visas, and that whole situation that we had as established as true, where Eduardo Bolsonaro made several videos saying that he was really doing it, that he was really behind it, and that whole situation that we know about in which he himself produced the evidence against himself, and he will be convicted by the Supreme Court. And soon he won't be, he will be a fugitive just like Alexandra Ramazem. He's there as a fugitive in the United States, okay? Let's watch this video of Lindenberg explaining this petition he filed, especially to Justice Alexandra de Moraes, requesting that Flávio Bolsonaro also be investigated for the crime of coercion during legal proceedings. Within this context that I just explained to you, let's take a look.
He's already gone to the selection, but Eduardo and Flávio Bolsonaro need to go to prison. That money that Flávio asked Vorcaro for and that Eduardo Bolsonaro received was used to finance that whole campaign against Brazil, tariffs, that entire movement to blackmail the Supreme Court and to prevent the trial of Jair Bolsonaro. Look, I just filed a petition with the federal Supreme Court asking Justice Alexandre de Moraes to include Flávio and Jair. In inquiry 4995 in this inquiry, Eduardo Bolsonaro has already been formally charged before the Supreme Court. He is a defendant, and the Supreme Court has already accepted it. I had filed this action in June of last year. The Supreme Court opened, investigated, and accepted the complaint. Include Flávio and Jair Bolsonaro in this inquiry, which is already well underway. There will be a trial before the end of the year. This is fundamental because, look, it wasn't just Eduardo. The money, the financial transactions were made at the request of Flávio Bolsonaro and Jair Bolsonaro himself. I don't know if you know, remember, he gave a statement, Jair Bolsonaro, about this inquiry, 4,995. I also testified since I was the one who stopped the investigation from starting. And there he said the following: I gave 2 million to Eduardo so he could stay in the United States. What we're seeing is that it wasn't him who gave it. The one who gave $2 million was Fabiano Zeteu. It was Vorcaro's money, which went to that fund in Texas. So this is very important because it opens up another line of investigation. There's a general inquiry into the master fraud, which is with Minister Andre Mendoza. But this part of the Bolsonaro case, with this money that's going to the United States, I asked the rapporteur, Minister Alexandre de Moraes, to include Jair and Flávio and investigate this money. Tracking the financial transactions in the United States is fundamental. You'll see that this money wasn't for making a movie at all. It was to conspire against Brazil.
Yeah, guys, and yesterday, right, the team was announced, and I keep thinking about how ridiculous these Bolsonaro supporters are. And then, notably, a congresswoman and a senator making little videos with Neymar with I don't even know what. What kind of stupidity is this, guys? Guys, I made a point of going live today wearing yellow. The national team's jersey, green and yellow, belongs to Brazilians. We can't accept that the far right tries to make it their symbol. It's not, it's ours. I'm going to wear the green and yellow jersey because it belongs to Brazil. And no one, not even the Bolsonaro supporter, will usurp or take Brazil's symbols as their own. They won't. Oh, Neymar was called up. Nicolas Ferreira, that ridiculous guy, made a video saying, take that, I don't know what, bite the back, I don't know what, because Neymar was called up. He's a Bolsonaro supporter. Ugh, what crap. Ugh, what a mess. I want Bolsonaro, I want Neymar to score a lot of goals, so that for once he doesn't get hurt, right? And doesn't keep diving, because Flávio Bolsonaro is in free fall, just going downhill. I hope Neymar doesn't act like Flávio Bolsonaro and stays on his feet and plays and scores a lot of goals for Brazil. That's what I wish for. Now, Andrea, but he's a Bolsonaro supporter. My dear, the guy didn't study. He doesn't read. Neymar doesn't understand anything about politics. He doesn't understand people, sovereignty, or nation. He doesn't understand anything. What did you expect him to be? Huh? Of course he had to be a Bolsonaro supporter. He can't see what's right in front of him. He lives off the perks of playing well. And he was blessed by God, thank God. But, he doesn't understand anything. There was no way he wouldn't be a Bolsonaro supporter, A moron. A moron has to be a Bolsonaro supporter. What do we want from him? That he plays soccer. That's it. And that's fine. And that's it. It's over. Now, the hard part is seeing a congressman, right, Nicholas? Seeing a senator. Making little videos mocking this. Don't you have anything better to do, Nicholas? Go to work, Nicholas. Wow, but I'm even afraid to tell Nicholas to get to work, because he messes things up when he works. Oh my God. And let me ask you something here. Just curious. The World Cup is about to start now at the end of June, right? And do you think Donald Tranquera will be at the World Cup in the audience? Here's the thing. Donald Tranquera is getting booed left and right. Will he be there? No. And Eduardo, Dudu? Hey, Dudu? Dudu screwed. Dudu. Will you be in the stands watching the Brazil game? You will, right? Who's paying? Who's paying the bill? That's what the Brazilian people want to know. They want Neymar to play and play really well, right? And the Brazilian people want to know who is paying Bananinha's bill. Who goes there to watch Brazil's game? Daniel Vorcaro, who's paying the bill? That's the question. So you see, then you have the congressmen who earn almost 50,000 reais, right, Nicholas? Instead of working and doing something good for Brazil, they keep making little joke videos with Neymar, baby, 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 baby. Then Flávio, who's going downhill, falls just like Neymar. I hope not. I sincerely hope not, Neymar. For God's sake, Neymar, stop imitating Flávio Bolsonaro with all the flopping. What happens? Flávio Bolsonaro already made a video and he put Neymar in it, taking advantage of the situation, Now, like I said, I don't expect anything different from Neymar. Why? Because he's clueless. He doesn't understand anything about politics, sovereignty, the people, or Brazil. He doesn't understand anything. So, of course, he had to be a Bolsonaro supporter. There was nowhere else for him to go. He believes in fake news. He believes the left is from the devil. He believes that the left thinks everyone has to be poor and everything has to be distributed to everyone, So he believes in those big lies. He doesn't read, he doesn't study, and that's why he becomes the piece of shit he is. But it's all right. If he plays soccer and scores a goal, then he's already just fine. Did you understand, beautiful people? And speaking of that, have you realized that we already have the official Bolsa Master lineup, right, guys? With the 3 stars already. Star, with the 3 stars already. And we already have the official Bolsa Master team with the substitutes. But we're missing a sub here. Look. Here, look. The starting players of the Bolsa Master team. Bolsonaro. Flávio Bolsonaro. Eduardo Bolsonaro. Fabiano Zatello. Vorcaro. Campos Neto, hitman. This hitman has already been taken down. The hitman has already been taken down. He's already gone off somewhere, I don't know where. The hitman died. Paulo Carlitos, soon I'll say who each one is. Ciro Nogueira, Tarcísio de Freitas, and João Carlos. Here we already have the official selection of Vorcaro's team from Bolsa. And on the side here, we already have 6 substitutes. Who's missing? Who is this one that's missing? Put it there if you get the code, okay? Look, here's the substitute. Davi Alcolumbre, Hugo Mota. Ibanez Rocha, he's almost a starter, you know, guys. Ibanez will soon be summoned by the federal police. Arthur Lira has also entered the dispute. Arthur Lira has also entered the dispute from the bench. He's on the bench. Michelle is also on the bench. And someone is missing here. Guess who is missing here? You got the 6, right? I'm going to talk to those 6. You all know too much, guys. No, guys, Ciro Nogueira is here. He's a starter. I'm talking about the ones on the sides here, the ones on the bench. We're missing someone here on the bench. Yeah, who even got a little visit from the police guys just the other day, guys. No, for God's sake, when you all start. No, guys. Ricardo Nunes, too. Ricardo Nunes, it's not him. But Ricardo Nunes, the mayor of São Paulo, he's already looking to go to the bench. It's not Nicolas, guys. It's Claudio Castro, guys. Here, look. Governor of Rio, former governor of Rio de Janeiro is what's missing here. Look. These here are the substitutes. The substitutes, you mentioned Nicholas, Selena, everyone. They're all trying to go to the bench. And I don't think it's going to take much effort. No, right? It won't. Flávio, Vorcaro is the boss. Vorcaro is the boss. Right? Then there's Flávio Bolsonaro, who was making demands of the boss, right? I'm not telling you the whole story. Do you want me to? Of the team? Do you want to revive? Revive memory? Refresh your memory? All right. But let me just go over the starters. Who are the starters on the team, guys? Here are the starters. Look, the stars of the Bolsa Master. Look at that. A united family. Right? It's all good. Flávio Bolsonaro. He's the captain. He's the one who gathers the money. He's the one who raises money. Flávio Bolsonaro. Flávio Bolsonaro has always liked dealing with money, right, guys? Rachadinha and so on, all that stuff. So he's the one who gathers, the one who collects. Get it? I understand. He's the one who collects the money. Eduardo Bolsonaro is the one who receives the money. And the mastermind behind it all, believe it or not, is the father, Jair Bolsonaro. So here are the 3, the stars of the Bolsa Master team. Did you get it? Wonderful. And the one in the middle, that's Flávio Bolsonaro, wants to be president of the republic. But the jig is up already, right? Pretty much. He dropped almost 6 percentage points in the poll that came out today. And Lula already has more than 48% support, right? Soon Lula will win in the first round. See? Now this scene here, we need to revisit it then. Let's revisit it. Vorcaro is the owner of Banco Master. And there is suspicion of fraud, which officially has already surpassed 50 billion raised officially. That means there could be more. And we're going to find out. And in fact, the federal police operation, which is responsible for this, which is a police investigation, is called Complice Zero. There have already been 21 arrests and more than 116 searches and seizures. Daniel Vorcaro moved from a nicer cell, like a suite, to a standard one, a regular jail cell. Okay? Because by all indications, he tried to sweet talk the federal police with his plea bargain, but the federal police disproved Daniel Vorcaro with evidence to Minister Andre Mendonça. And the game was up. Next to him, we have Fabiano Zetelo. Fabiano Zetelo is Daniel Vorcaro's financial agent, and he is also under arrest. And he is his brother-in-law, married to Daniel Vorcaro's sister. Fabiano Zetelo, the financial agent, was responsible, especially for the sham contracts and the various companies used to hide the money trail. And Fabiano Zetelo was the one who donated. Look, he donated. Look, to Bolsonaro's campaign account in 2022, 3 million reais. He was the biggest donor to Bolsonaro's campaign in 2022, Fabiano Zetelo. And he was also the biggest donor to Tarcísio de Freitas's campaign, who is now the Bolsonarist governor of São Paulo. Okay? And next to him, we have Campos Neto. Campos Neto, a supporter of Bolsonaro, was the president of the central bank at the time, appointed and chosen by Bolsonaro, and he authorized Banco Maxima to become Banco Master, okay? And Banco Master was authorized to operate there. We can even include Onyx Lorenzoni here as a backup as well. Onyx Lorenzoni was Bolsonaro's Minister of Social Security, and he authorized Banco Master to make payroll deductions from Social Security benefits. And Banco Master is also involved with the Social Security fraud because they made thousands of improper deductions from retirees and pensioners, stealing from retirees and pensioners. And this authorization for the deductions was made by Onyx Lorenzoni, Bolsonaro's Minister of Social Security. And the bank was authorized to operate by Campos Neto, former minister, former president, and director of the central bank appointed by Bolsonaro. And it's interesting, isn't it? Are there only Bolsonaro supporters here? What's happening? And now we have Flávio Bolsonaro, whose audio just leaked, right? Flávio Bolsonaro used to say he didn't know Daniel Vorcaro. Flávio Bolsonaro said he never even crossed paths with Daniel Vorcaro. And now an audio of Flávio Bolsonaro, senator and son of Bolsonaro, has leaked with his staff demanding millions of reais from Daniel Vorcaro. And a contract between Daniel Vorcaro and the movie in which he would spend 134 million reais for the movie. It is already known that he transferred 61 million and it didn't go to the company Entre Entretenimentos. It went to the company, a fund, a bank account belonging to Paolo Carlisto, a lawyer, of Eduardo Bolsonaro over there in the United States. And this account is in the United States. The money went there. The money didn't go to the movie, Andrea, that I can't tell you. But I can tell you that the money went to an account belonging to Eduardo Bolsonaro's lawyer in the United States. And that Flávio Bolsonaro was the one demanding it. And Flávio Bolsonaro said he didn't even know Daniel Vorcaro. And we know this is just the beginning. The audio is just the beginning. A video of a meeting with Flávio Bolsonaro and Daniel Vorcaro will show up soon. Don't doubt it. And we also have Eduardo Bolsonaro. Eduardo Bolsonaro, from all indications, was the one who received the money since his lawyer had Vorcaro's millions deposited in his account, in his fund. It could be a coincidence, but it doesn't seem like it to me, does it? And then we find out, right, how Eduardo Bolsonaro is living the life of a rich man in the United States. Money doesn't grow on trees. Money comes from somewhere. He says it was his father's 2 million that his father passed on. 2 million converted into dollars turns into what? $400,000. That's nothing for the standard of living he has there. His wife posted the other day that she bought an $18,000 purse. So like he's living a super rich lifestyle in the United States. $400,000 in the United States is nothing if you want to live a super rich life. So there's more money involved in the story, right? He'll have to explain that. And he went to the United States exactly to attack the Supreme Court, to attack the Brazilian government with heavy tariffs, with the Magnitsky Act, suspension of authorities' visas, and that whole situation we know very well. And the question is, did this money go to the movie? They will have to prove that. And the federal police are already searching for evidence. Where did the money go? It went to the account of Eduardo Bolsonaro's lawyer Carlisto's fund. And from there, where did the money go? And since it went to the fund, it's traceable. The federal police will get to that evidence. You can be sure of it, right? And going down here, we have other people like Paulo Carlisto, whom I just mentioned. He's in the photo there. Eduardo Bolsonaro's lawyer. The hitman is already dead. We have Ciro Nogueira. Ciro Nogueira is a senator, a Bolsonaro supporter. Ciro Nogueira was Bolsonaro's chief of staff. Bolsonaro has an office. He had his office here, and upstairs was Ciro Nogueira's office. And there was even a staircase and an elevator that connected the two offices, because the chief of staff is the minister closest to the president of the republic. The chief of staff is like the chief of the president's office. For example, a congressman, senator, or city councilor has several positions available for their office, right? And there's a position called chief of staff, who is the head of the office. He's the one who organizes. He's the one who does everything. He organizes all the other advisors, social relations advisor, legal advisor, and so on. The chief of staff works the same way. It's like he's the chief of staff of the presidency. And Ciro Nogueira was President Bolsonaro's chief of staff. He was Bolsonaro's chief of staff. He, according to the investigations from the federal police, was receiving a monthly payment of 300 to 500,000 reais from Daniel Vorcaro to lobby, to do everything possible, to work in the political field, benefiting the economic and financial groups of Daniel Vorcaro, especially Vorcaro himself. Ciro Nogueira, who was the target of a federal police raid at his properties the week before last, where money was seized. Properties were frozen, vehicles, motorcycles, and Senator Ciro Nogueira's cell phones and computers were seized. All right? Another Bolsonaro supporter. And we have Tarcísio de Freitas here, right? Why did Tarcísio receive money? From Fabiano Zettel, just like Bolsonaro in 2022. For the election campaign in his personal campaign account, 2 million. Bolsonaro, 3 million. From Fabiano Zettel. Another suspicion is being investigated by the São Paulo Public Prosecutor's Office. The two privatizations that Tarcísio de Freitas carried out may have involved groups of Vorcaro companies that were benefited. This is also already being investigated. All right? And honestly, we're missing more people here. The mayor of São Paulo is also missing. The mayor of São Paulo, what's his name again, guys? Ricardo Nunes. He hired a company owned by a woman named Karina. That Karina woman has an NGO. Karina's NGO received 8 million reais from federal deputies who support Bolsonaro. And this Karina, she's the producer of Bolsonaro's film in Brazil. She received money through budget earmarks from pro-Bolsonaro deputies. From whom? Alexandre Ramage. When he was still a deputy, he sent money to Karina's NGO. Bia Kicis. Marcos Polon. There are more people. Mario Frias, who is also the executive director of the movie. Marcos Mario Frias, Bia Kicis, Alexandre Ramage, Carla Zambelli also sent, and Bia Kicis. These 5 sent money from parliamentary amendments to Karina's NGOs. In fact, a specific police inquiry has already been opened by Minister Flávio to investigate this. And this Karina is the producer of the film here in Brazil. And this same Karina was hired by the Sao Paulo City Hall under Ricardo Nunes, a Bolsonaro supporter. And she won a bidding process to provide an NGO, which is her own NGO. She sent a report, Karina sent it, to provide Wi-Fi internet access for a community in the city of Sao Paulo. More than 5,000 people there in their homes would have access to this free internet, which would be offered by Karin's company, which won the bidding process of more than 100 million reais. But there's a catch. She doesn't work with this type of service. No, Andre, no. How did she win the bidding process? If she doesn't work with that, how was she chosen if she doesn't work with that? The suspicion is that this was a scheme for Nunes, for Ricardo Nunes, to give her money, for her to show the movie. That's the situation. So the Bolsonaro supporting Mayor Ricardo Nunes should also be here. And this last one here, whom I haven't mentioned, is João Carlos. João Carlos is the owner of REAG. REAG is a company that, according to the federal police, is a front, and it was used to launder money and to distribute money, where Vorcaro is also involved. This company was used by Vorcaro to launder money, to distribute money, where Ciro Nogueira is also under investigation. In this other police investigation, which is the Carbono Oculto case, which is a mafia that exists, according to the federal police in Sao Paulo, notably on Faria Lima, where several companies were created to launder money for Daniel Vorcaro. And one of the main companies is this one, REAG, owned by Mr. João, who is also listed as one of the members of the official Bolsa master team. And here we have Davio Columbre and Hugo Mota. Why? Because Davio Columbre and Hugo Mota, president of the Senate and of the National Congress, and at the same time, president of the Chamber of Deputies, Hugo Mota, they don't want to set up the parliamentary inquiry into Banco Master. And Senator Renan Calheiros has already said that a relative of Hugo Mota received more than 100 million reais from the Vorcaro group. According to him, this was in exchange for the approval of the Carbon Amendment, which benefited the economic group of Daniel Vorcaro. I'll show Renan's video at 12:30 where he says that. And they're saying that Bio Columbre is also involved, right? And that this was said by Malu Gaspar from Globo. And she said that he went to Lula to ask Lula to interfere with the federal police. Lula said he wouldn't interfere. And whoever was involved in anything was going to get caught. Then Bio Columbre got really nervous and said that's when he started going after Lula's government. He scheduled the National Congress session to overturn Lula's veto on sentencing rules, and that's what happened. Lula vetoed the sentencing bill, which reduced the sentence for the coup plotters. Davi Bio Columbre went there, organized everything, and they overturned Lula's veto, imposing a defeat on Lula's government. And at the same time, he also scheduled the hearing for Lula's chosen one, the support, to fill the seat left by Luis Barroso on the Supreme Federal Court, Jorge Messias. And according to the information, he worked behind the scenes so that Jorge Messias would not be approved. In more than 6 years, this is the first time that a person nominated by the President of the Republic for a seat on the Supreme Federal Court has been rejected. So, Davi Bio Columbre also worked for this to impose this new defeat on the Lula government. And according to behind-the-scenes sources, it's exactly because he didn't receive any kind of protection from the Lula government regarding the possibility of Lula interfering with the federal police to shield him from Bio Columbre. There's also Ibanez Rocha. The situation with Ibanez Rocha, I believe he will soon be summoned by the federal police. I believe so. Ibanez Rocha was the governor of the federal district, and they used the public bank of the federal district, BRB, and bought more than 12 billion reais in worthless shares from Banco Master. The then president of BRB is already under arrest, and his plea bargain is already well underway too. Paulo Henrique, an ally of former Governor Ibanez Rocha, is under arrest and is cooperating with prosecutors, and his plea bargain is progressing. It looks like he really spilled the beans. And according to insider information, not only Ibanez Rocha, but also his vice, Celina Leão, all of them Bolsonaro supporters. From all indications, she was also implicated in this billion-dollar scheme involving Banco Master. Ibanez Rocha stepped down because he said he will run for the Senate, not for governor, but for the Senate. Celina Leão took his place as governor of the federal district. But I believe the next ones to be visited by the federal police will be Governor Ibanez Rocha and Celina Leão. Okay? We have Arthur Lira. They're saying that a big shot from the Centro is involved in the Banco Master Mafia. And behind the scenes, Arthur Lira's name is coming up. I don't know if that's true or not, but if it is, we'll find out soon, okay? Michele Bolsonaro, they're saying that Michele Bolsonaro also benefited from this whole scheme involving Flávio Bolsonaro and Eduardo Bolsonaro, right? Here we have to remember there was the check that went to Michelle for 89,000 reais, which was passed on by Queiroz, who was Flávio Bolsonaro's chief of staff when he was a state representative. He was a state representative for 16 years and faced charges for the Rachadinha scheme. He stole money from his aides and passed it on to the family, right? That didn't go forward because of a procedural issue there in Rio de Janeiro, but anyway. And the image that's missing is exactly of the former governor of Rio de Janeiro. And he has even received a visit from the federal police with searches and seizures last week. That's Claudio Castro, another Bolsonaro supporter. Claudio Castro injected more than 1 billion reais up that devil Daniel Vorcaro's ass, money from the Rio de Janeiro Public Servants Pension Fund. Okay? And there's this suspicion of him being involved with the mafia, Vorcaro. And there's also another investigation regarding Claudio Castro, which refers to the DPF of the favelas, okay? About help from the Red Command for the Red Command and involvement with the militia. And about theft in public administration while he was governor of Rio de Janeiro. This case regarding the DPF is in Minister Alexandre de Moraes' office. In fact, the last operation by the federal police, which took place last week, involving search and seizure at the addresses and homes of the former governor, removed from office and ineligible, Claudio Castro, was carried out exactly by order of Minister Alexandre de Moraes. The involvement with the Comando Vermelho with militias and crimes of corruption, embezzlement, fraud, all kinds of situations you can imagine in the state of Rio de Janeiro. Stealing a lot there and from many immigrants and many billions of reais. This part is with Minister Alexandre de Moraes. The part about involvement with Daniel Vorcaro, possible involvement with Daniel Vorcaro, is with Minister Andre Mendonça. Things are getting heated. And this one, in my opinion, is the official full lineup. Both the starters and the substitutes. And soon we will have more situations that will come to light and we will discover a lot more, right? And as I explained to you regarding Flávio, this is just the beginning. It's just the beginning. There's a lot more to be revealed. As a result of this situation, as I showed you, Flávio Bolsonaro dropped almost 6 percentage points in the poll that came out today at 7 in the morning. And Lula went up. Lula, first round, 47%. I just want to stick with this data. Lula, 47%. Just 2 or 3 more percentage points and Lula wins in the first round. Congratulations. Ooh. Congratulations, far right. Congratulations. You pulled the rug out from under the right and chose Bolsonaro's most corrupt son. Congratulations. You are more of the same and a lot of nothing. You shoot yourselves in the foot and always bet on impunity, lies, and chaos. But that's not how it is. And I say it and I'll say it again. No kidding. It's Lula, a fourth win in the first round. Put that down. My dear ladies and gentlemen, I'll be back live at 12:30 with more information. Here's the WhatsApp group. If you don't want to miss anything, if you don't want to miss any live streams, if you don't want to miss any news that just happened, I put everything here. Look on the WhatsApp channel. You just need to have WhatsApp and nothing else. Join here, look. If you can't join using the QR code, I'll leave the link now in the first comment. Check.